Do you ever feel like you're working hard, praying faithfully, and still watching your money disappear before it can create any real stability? Do you ever lie awake calculating bills, wondering how one unexpected expense could completely disrupt your life? Do you ever ask God, why am I still in this financial pressure when I am trying to do everything right? But what if this season is not proof that God has forgotten you? What if He's using the pressure to prepare your hands, your habits, and your heart for something more stable than a temporary financial increase? By the end of this message, you will understand 4 signs that God may be preparing you for financial breakthrough and stability. You will recognize the difference between panic and preparation, between delay and development, and between merely receiving money and being ready to steward it well. Stay with me until the end, because this matters more than most believers realize. God does not only want to bless you with provision. He wants to build you into someone who can carry provision with wisdom, peace, and purpose. Jesus gives us the foundation in Matthew 6, verse 33. But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. This means that God is not asking you to pretend your needs do not exist. In the verses around this statement, Jesus is speaking about food, drink, and clothing, the daily necessities of life in a first-century agrarian society where harvest could fail, wages were uncertain, and most families lived close to the edge of survival. Jesus was not dismissing practical needs. He was teaching you not to let those needs become your master. In plain language, seek God first. Let His values shape your decisions, and trust Him to care for what you cannot control. Provision is important, but God's order matters more than your anxiety. Sign number 1. God is teaching you to steward what is already in your hands. You may notice that you are becoming more aware of where your money goes. You are less comfortable with impulsive spending. You are beginning to budget, reduce waste, pay attention to small responsibilities, or ask better questions before making financial decisions. What once seemed restrictive now feels like wisdom growing inside you. Proverbs 21 verse 5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty." In plain language, patient planning creates a path toward increase, while desperate rushing can make financial pressure worse. Look at Joseph. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned. Yet when God gave him insight into Pharaoh's dream, Joseph did not respond with excitement alone. He responded with a plan. He recommended storing 1/5 of Egypt's harvest during 7 years of abundance so the nation could survive the famine. Genesis 41 verse 34 says, "Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance." In plain language, Joseph understood that a blessing must be managed before a crisis arrives. Here's what I want you to catch. Financial breakthrough may begin with discipline before it ever appears as increase. When you feel led to organize, plan, save, learn, and stop wasting what you have, this may be God preparing you to handle more. Not punishment, but training. Not limitation, but stewardship. Sign number 2. God is developing faithfulness in your ordinary work. You may feel unseen. You may be doing humble work that nobody celebrates. You may be showing up to the same job, serving the same clients, caring for the same family, or building something slowly with little recognition. But you keep going. You keep your word. You keep working with integrity, even when the reward has not arrived yet. Ruth 2 verse 12 says, "May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." In plain language, God sees faithful action, especially when it is done from a place of trust and obedience. Ruth was a widow and a foreigner in Bethlehem. She had no guaranteed income and no powerful position. She did not sit still waiting for a miracle to make her responsible. She asked permission to glean in the fields, gathered leftover grain, and faithfully cared for Naomi. She worked in a vulnerable place, but God used that faithful season to connect her with Boaz and establish a new future. Here's what I want you to catch. God often prepares stability through consistency. Ruth did not know that one ordinary day in a field was connected to a larger story. When you feel overlooked, underpaid, or tired of doing small things, this is what may be happening. God is building your reputation, your resilience, and your capacity. You are not just earning a living. You are becoming dependable. Sign number 3. God is teaching you to seek strength before you seek solutions. Financial stress can make you react emotionally. You may want to quit too quickly, borrow impulsively, accept every offer out of fear, or make decisions simply to escape discomfort. But you're beginning to pause. You pray before you respond. You ask God for wisdom before you ask for rescue. You're learning that peace must lead your decision-making, not panic. 1 Samuel 30 verse 6 says, David was greatly distressed because the men were talking of stoning him. Each one was bitter in spirit because of his sons and daughters. In plain language, David faced a crisis so severe that his own people turned against him. Yet distress did not have to determine his next move. David had returned to Ziklag and found that the Amalekites had taken the families and possessions of his men. He was grieving too. He was under threat. He had every reason to collapse. But instead of allowing fear to control him, David strengthened himself in the Lord, sought God's direction, and then moved forward with courage. Here's what I want you to catch. The ability to remain spiritually grounded in a financial crisis is part of financial preparation. When you experience pressure but feel God drawing you into prayer instead of panic, He may be strengthening the inner foundation that will protect your future. He is teaching you not only how to receive resources, but how to make wise decisions when resources are under pressure. Sign number 4. God is expanding your capacity to create value and bless others. You may notice new ideas coming to you. A skill you once ignored is becoming useful. People are asking you for help, advice, services, or creative work. You are not only asking, how can I get more? You are beginning to ask, what has God placed in me that can serve someone else? Acts 16 verse 14 describes Lydia this way. One of those listening was a woman from the city of Thyatira named Lydia, a dealer in purple cloth. She was a worshiper of God. The Lord opened her heart. In plain language, Lydia had a real business and real skills, but God connected her work with His mission. Lydia was a businesswoman who sold purple cloth, a valuable product associated with wealth and status. When she encountered the gospel, she opened her home to Paul and his companions. She did not separate her faith from her resources. Her work became a channel of hospitality, leadership, and generosity. Here's what I want you to catch. Financial stability is not only about having more money. It is also about becoming more useful, more creative, more generous, and more aligned with God's purpose. When new opportunities, skills, or ideas begin to surface, do not dismiss them as random. Ask how you can develop them with integrity and use them to serve. I know some of you are afraid that you will always struggle. You are afraid that one bill will always be followed by another, that you will never catch up, or that financial breakthrough is something God gives to everyone except you. But your current numbers are not the final word over your life. And you do not have to manufacture a miracle through desperation. This hardship is not necessarily punishment. It can be preparation. It can be training. It can be an invitation to let God heal your relationship with money, teach you wisdom, and build stability into your character. Remember the feeling of lying awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering how you will make it through. God may be turning that ceiling into a place of prayer, not a prison of fear. The same pressure that once made you panic can become the place where you learn to plan, persevere, pray, and prepare. Here is your action for today. Write down every resource already in your hands. Your income, skills, time, relationships, ideas, and responsibilities. Then pray over that list and choose one practical step. Create a simple budget, cancel one unnecessary expense, save a small amount, improve one skill, or pursue one honest opportunity. Take the step in faith. Do not despise small beginnings. If this message spoke to you today, share it with someone who is under financial stress and needs hope, wisdom, and stability. Write in the comments, I am being prepared for faithful provision and lasting stability. Subscribe to keep growing in lighted pathways. May God give you wisdom for every decision, strength for every season, and peace as He leads you into faithful provision and lasting stability.